Just the other day on a video I was watching with David Wilcock explaining about our universe, he was talking about the fact that, well, if it is a fact, that is yet to be determined, but this was about our universe being wrapped around a little bit like a soccer ball. And this is something many people have differing views on, but he was wondering what force would cause such a shape to our universe to be this way. It's the shape of a dodecahedron. Anyway, I have some ideas about the force that would cause this, which I call God or consciousness. And this soccer ball look doesn't come as a surprise to me. And here are my reasons why. I had read somewhere that the basic building block of life was the shape of the tetrahedron. Also, I had heard that the tetrahedron represented love and the cohesive force. And I thought, well, love is certainly a cohesive force. It would be the only thing that could bring us all together as one. And so I played around like as if I were God. So, being as I love to play with clay, I started making tetrahedrons out of clay and pretending myself to be God, and played with the clay tetrahedrons to see what it is that I could make. Anyway, it was kind of fun. I will show you the steps I went through. So making tetrahedrons is kind of like eating chips. You can't eat just one. You have to have more. So I made many of them. But I found that it takes 20 of them to make something. And what it makes, you just put it together and it just naturally makes this. Because as you put them together, there's no other way it would go were you doing this other than the way that it makes a ball. Looks sort of like a soccer ball. So I took one of the tetrahedrons and I cut 3 lines into this clay, one from corner to corner, and it looks like this. And I think God does things in threes a lot, and that's why I did this. Now you will see as this progresses how it's going to begin to look like the soccer ball. Each time I would put 5 of them together, it made this little flower looking thing that has a curve to it, so I could see that this was going to make something round. And so this, I still have 10 more yet to do here, and then the next step would be here. Okay, now I have 3 of them. When I first made this, I just took one and then another and another. I didn't make the little series of 3, but it all turned out the same way. Except now I just do it as 3, and then I have one that I center those 3 that are composed of 5 around. And then the very last piece is the piece that has 4. And that's sort of like the plug. Because you see right there, it needs plugging in there. Now that last piece is ready to go in. And when that is done, it will look like the ball. Okay, and now we have put this last one in and we have the ball. And there is the one I had the 3 scored lines on. Now if you continue these lines throughout the ball around it, each line cuts the ball exactly in half. And since I'm going to do every single one of the tetrahedrons the same way this one right here is done, there's going to be a lot of lines that cut this ball exactly in half. Every single line goes through the middle. And if you also study this form, you'll see that every single tetrahedron is exactly the same as every other one. They all occupy the same space in relationship to the ball as every other one. And And here is a picture of all the lines after they're cut in each one, and you can see the look now that makes it look sort of like a soccer ball. At one point, before I did some of the other lines, it looks like this, and that looks like a ball that's just sliced like a pizza. Maybe the universe is a big pizza. Anyway, so here you go. Here's the 5-sided pentagon. And I want to explain something about this shape because I have been experimenting with the shape of the pentagon, and this is what I want to show you about the pentagon. I used to play with the pentagon by placing it like I were laying tiles. Now you see the one in the center, the black center of this is the first pentagon with 5 around it. That pattern will never be repeated as long as you lay them the way I do around it. You can go out like forever. And each time you make another layer, it makes another pentagon, and it adds another 5 to its number. It goes out by 5s. And I thought, well, this is not forming anything. It's just flat, and it goes out forever. It doesn't make a ball. But I thought it was an interesting design. It looks like it makes, to me, like branches of a tree, and it's got that wonderful diamond shape between each thing, which I think that's a story in and of itself, that diamond shape that you see coming off there. But this is the male version of this symbol, and this, I think, is a female version, where you get something, because you add the curve. You have to have the curvature, and then the pentagon, with flanked by other pentagons, curved, will make a little ball. The little soccer ball that this universe is supposed to be shaped like, which may or may not be true, but it's something interesting to think about. Only in my soccer ball, unlike the one that this began with, showing a soccer ball, the centers, the 12 centers, are in the middle of each of the pentagons. And so there you have it. This is my version of the universe may be shaped like a soccer ball. And the tetrahedrons that were used to build it being love and basic building blocks of life, and the scoring of it being the Trinity, the 3 that God deals with so often in making things. He repeats 3 often. And each of these pentagons in this has a hole that goes right straight through to the other side. I showed it here against my computer screen to show you how it goes straight through. And there's 12 of these holes. That in itself is significant because there's 12 constellations, I believe. And I'll have to look that up. I think there are 12 signs of the zodiac. But anyway, I like to look at this and think of God as at the center of this ball. A kind of space there where 8 holes
12.
come together.
12.
Anyway, here is something I thought was kind of fun. I was looking at crop circles one day, and I said, wow, this crop circle looks a whole lot like this ball that I made. I wonder if our space brothers are trying to tell us something here. Of course, I don't know what any of this means. It's just something I'm playing around with, and I wanted to share because I thought it interesting when I heard David Wilcock talk about the shape of the universe possibly being like a soccer ball. And I know that God is consciousness, but consciousness takes some kind of form in our mind, and so we can conceive of God as this shape. The symbols all have pretty good meanings, you know. Love and cohesiveness, and just the fact that there's 12 and there's 20 may even be a significant number that means something.